Dan Brock, the Deadbeat Super Affiliate here, and welcome to the Paladin SEO on-page optimization method. And in my hands here is the official Deadbeat mug. So you can expect yours pretty soon, and this has nothing to do with this video. I just wanted to show it to you. Now, with that said, let's jump right on into the training. So the reason why I call this Paladin on-page SEO is, number one, it was a pretty cool name. I just could not resist using the name Paladin SEO. Number two, we're going 100% white hat. So I've learned over the years that the cleaner you stay with your SEO, the longer term results you get. Yes, it might be a little bit of work up front, but it reaps dividends for many, many years to come. I have blogs still getting traffic when done the right way, literally 5, 6, or even 7 years later. Same with YouTube videos. It works the same way. So with that said, let's jump right on in. Okay, so during this module in the program, you will be learning the following: the basics of on-page SEO, fast and effective website tactics. Number two, a readability score. This is an important point here. Niche dialogue content, and be the part, looking the part, becoming the expert. And the all ever important page tweaks, and my favorite part, the quote of the day. Okay, number one, let's talk about the benefit of on-page SEO. So on-page SEO is about 70% of the battle. So backlinks are still important, so are social shares, but if you don't have really, really good content, all of that is a complete waste. So Google is getting very smart about analyzing content. They have these AI algorithms, and they can tell based off user behavior, based off the structure of your content, they are able to determine whether or not your content is quality, if it's worthy of being ranked highly. In other words, they like clean, fresh, and expert-based content. Now, there are strategies I'm going to reveal over the course of that program to formulate the whole pattern or the whole process. This applies whatever content you create: blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, social media posts. Good content is key. Now, with all that said, by doing this, the benefit is that you could get ranked for a very long time, regardless if you decide to take the next week, month, or even year off. So if you want to be lazy, this is a requirement. The good news about on-page SEO is that if you stay pure, if you stay clean, any mistakes that you make can be fixed. So in this game, perfection is your worst enemy. So with that said, as you go through this program, take your notes, maybe go through it a second time, but I encourage you to take these lessons in and only implement one tweak at a time. Try to resist the urge of wanting to perfect this and get every single page tweak or every single tactic correct the first time around. Do this until slowly but surely all of this becomes second nature. Same goes with creating YouTube videos. If you have my Tube Tycoon program, for example, a lot of people get caught up of trying to get every little single thing in the video the first time, and the problem is they spend weeks or even months trying to perfect one video. But it's just like in the martial arts. You can't do everything right until you've learned how to punch like basic, how to keep your hands up. All these things come slowly but surely. So where I'm going at with this very long-winded tangent is get started. Start with a 1,000 to 1,200 word article, perfect starting point, and work that up over time to 2,500 words. So maybe the next week, add another 100 words, add an additional tweak. Another week later, add another 50 words, add another tweak. All this adds up. In other words, said the 50th time here, improve your content in stages. And this is also a very good signal to Google, knowing that you're going in and updating, making your content fresh, and getting increased lengths of time that people come view your pages for, skyrocket up the search engines. Now, there's an additional point here. Sometimes you may consider perfecting content to a higher level. For example, if you have an audience already, it might make sense to tweak it up a little bit and give it that extra polish. But by and large, start with a C-level product, regardless, unless it's a very, very important piece of content. Now, with that said, let's get into the tactics here. So a fast website, so important these days and age. You want a fast website on both desktop browser and mobile browsers. So as you may know, if you've seen my other videos, whether it be the Yearsl presentations or on my YouTube videos, your website load speed both affects your SEO rankings. In other words, Google wants to serve fast pages, and more importantly, your overall amount of money you make with your affiliate sites. So you could take, for example, $1,000 a month affiliate site, and if it's loading slowly, you could double those sales. If it's clean, you add some elements and that thing loads like that, 40, 50, or even twice the amount of sales just by switching over to a fast loading web page. This is why you see every corporate website very light, very lean, very quick, because it works. Okay, so here are some things you can optimize for. On the server side, and we're going to get technical with this just in case you don't have a Yearsl website. If you want to implement this on your own server, or if you can ask your host to do it. Text compression with your CSS style sheets and JavaScripts. This spends a lot, your site load speed depends a lot on these two files. Now, there are server-side Apache modules that you can use for this. One is called Deflate. That's the one we use. It's pretty effective. Number two is to hook your website up to a content delivery network. So the way it works is your website, regardless of what it is, there are static elements. It could be the style sheets. It could be the JavaScript. It could be the images. Now, what you can do is actually offload these files onto what are called node servers. So these nodes are, and by the way, if you're not following along, don't worry. I know some people are like, oh God, talking about the node servers, no clue what that is. Don't worry, it's okay. We have ways that we can take care of this for you. What'll happen is there are servers all throughout the world. So let's say you're in Europe, right? Instead of you having to connect to the US to download, let's say a 500 kilobyte image, you'll connect to a server in Europe that already has that image stored on there. So that might just be like, let's say 50 miles from you. Boom, instant load speed because it's closest to you instead of having to go like across the world to get those files. So content delivery networks are important. They are expensive and you'll have to shell out the extra money. I believe it's worth it based off of my results. Okay, image compression tools and browser caching. So there are ways that you can actually compress your images to improve your website load speed. And if you enable browser caching, the second time someone comes back, they will load the site much quicker. Very important tweaks you can make. I recommend you do that. There are some WordPress plugins that work. Ours are better, just off of a bias thing. The Yearsl plugins are much better, but you can get those type in image compression tools on the plugin search on WordPress. And also, very important, light WordPress themes. So you're going to find when you search for WordPress themes, a common problem is that usually a lot of these are kind of thrown together so they can just get it out there and get results. Now, what that means is very heavy, a lot of wasted code, a lot of bulky processes and functions. In other words, what's going to happen is your theme that you select will be much slower. It will be less effective. It won't be mobile friendly. And because of that, you're going to miss out on sales. It's going to be very heavy as far as HTTP requests are concerned. And in other words, it's going to load very slow. So all of the Yearsl themes are optimized for that. But if you're not using that, some of the default WordPress themes are also lightweight. Okay, so you can test those speeds at the Google Page Speed tool. Just go to Google. I'll probably put a link below. You can test out the speeds and see where you can improve your site. The link for that will be below. Number two, the ever important readability score. So there's a law in copywriting that basically states that the more intelligent that you make your writing, your copy, the less sales that you're going to make. Now, the exception to the rule is that unless it's a very sophisticated audience that you're talking to, like for example, if you're trying to sell a piece of medical equipment, using buzzwords and lingo, if you're selling to the doctor itself, that will work. But if you're selling to a general salesperson, then maybe it might make sense to tone that back. That's just an example though. So with what we're doing, selling digital offers, affiliate offers, you want to write for about the 13 to 14-year-old level or lower if you can. There's a special term for that. I forgot what it was. That doesn't really matter. What I'll do is I'll put a link below to some tools that you can use that will help you determine the grade level of your writing. So you'll be able to tweak it, make it more simple. Also, a lot of journalists write with the same style. The way it works is people are scanning through your content, and if you're using big words, they're going to blank over. But if it's very easy for them to digest on the scroll, it's going to sink in much better, and they'll be able to retain your message and get it quick, which is so important because you only have a few seconds to grab people's attention. So if you're able to do it just like that, better results for you. So a link for the tool for that will be below. Now, here is where things have changed up quite a bit. The style of content that you want to create nowadays is different than before. What we're trying to do is create content that answers specific dialogues in a particular space. Okay, and a perfect example of this is that with the freelance writing space, for example, I know there are several topics that are kind of cornerstones of this market. One might be, how do you escape content mills and get paid top dollar for your writing? Rather, instead of getting paid like $5 for 1,000 words, how to get 50 or even $100 per 1,000 words. Another one is like how to replace your job with your writing gig. So here's an example: is do you make more money than you would at your job? So that answers a specific question that's very prevalent. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm gonna use it because it makes me sound smart. That's prevalent. Let me just look that up because I don't even know what it is. Prevalent, widespread in a particular area. Yes. So where I'm going at is there are certain topics that come up over and over and over again. So when you create your content, you want to base it around that. Now, there are great places you can find them: Reddit, Medium, Quora. These are the big three. They're very question-based things, or you can get perspectives of people that are already in the space, kind of stream of consciousness. Okay, so great sites. This is usually where I go for the majority of my content questions. Another great place is Amazon product reviews. So you can go in there and just look at, you'll see if you read these reviews, common things that people are interested in the product, something that it does good, something that doesn't do right, some of the common problems that the product solves. What I recommend that you do, and I'll talk about this in a second, is to spend time reading those things. And to give you some functional examples, let me tell you the old way of creating content. So prior to this, you would create blogs about how to get, for example, a keyword in the space that I know is one is writing jobs for beginners, how to get writing jobs, get a freelance writing job. That's usually a keyword, get paid for online writing. So what you would do is you would create very kind of generic, broad articles targeting these keywords. And this still works fine, especially with YouTube videos, but we want to start getting more to these specific topics. You're going to rank better and really relate to that user. So instead of doing how to get writing jobs as a beginner, you'd say like how to land writing jobs without feedback. So a lot of the problems is that new writers will come in and they'll be like, God, I just can't get jobs because I have no feedback. So what I would do is say, here's how you get feedback. Here's how you land your first writing job, even if you don't have any feedback and you're a complete beginner. So you'd hit from that very unique angle. Do you see what I mean by this? Okay, it's a very subtle point, but this makes all the difference, right? Like if someone needs a specific topic, they're going to pay much more attention. Let's compare another one. How to get a freelance writing job. Here's a better way to go about this. How to get a $5,000 a month freelance writing jobs in the current year. So whatever the year is. So this is very specific to that person. They want to get a freelance writing job, and they probably get a freelance writing job. There's a good chance that they want to replace their job income. So that talks very specifically to that person. Following along? Hope so, because we're jumping right on it. So here's another one. How to get paid for online writing. How to get paid $300 instead of $10 for a 3,000 word article. So this really relates to someone who's having trouble getting high paid jobs, like an American, for example. They're going to get edged out over like someone working in Europe or in India who will do an article they'll slave away for like $5. So people have this problem, and this article will specifically target them. All right, ways to get high-paying jobs, escape content mill prices, how I land high-paying writing jobs. So on sites like Medium, for example, a lot of content that does well is first-person perspective content. So it'll be like how I land high-paying writing jobs, or how I stand out from overseas freelance writers who write for peanuts. Okay, so these are more unique angles to attack from. Diving into this, in rare situations in life, it's better to fit in with the current times, with the current line of thought. Those that stand out tend to get their heads chopped off. So wear the same clothes, act like they act, but think what you think. I think I might have got this from the 48 Laws of Power. Now, in regards to content types and topics, it's better to fit in and adapt your content to what is being shown as the top content. I'll show you an example in this in just a second, but the question is that content that's ranking? Is it a video? Is it a guide? Is it a tutorial? Is it a list? Is it a do-it-yourself type project? Fit into this mold. If the guides are ranking, you're going to create your own guide. But with that said, you're going to put your unique spin on that. I wear a robe in my stuff, but by and large, I usually will fit a formula and kind of work my unique concept into there. I see so many times where people think, oh, I'm just going to be myself and I'm going to just make this unique kind of thing that's never been seen before. You don't want to go with unproven tactics. You want to go with what's proven, but make a unique twist on it. So what I'm gonna do is pull up some examples to show you what I mean by that. So I'm pulling up a random keyword, the best YouTube cameras. You'll notice the featured snippet. It's a list. We go down here, we have YouTube, 5 best camera equipment. This best camera equipment for YouTube beginners. The 10 best cameras for YouTube, 10 best cameras for video, YouTube video cameras, the 15 best cameras for YouTube. So we can see by this that they're looking for a specific kind of content, what the viewer wants based off of what Google is showing. So you can pretty much count on Google to know what the best kind of content is to serve. So go type whatever your keywords you want to rank for, type those in and look at the style of content that's being shown. I know right now that lists for this type of content is what people want. Okay, let's go with the scuba niche. I don't know why I picked it, but you'll see things in common. We have people in a pool, all involved with water. So this is probably a good way to go about this. You wouldn't want to go totally unique and be in a desert just to be unique and show scuba examples. Okay, this is a very extreme example, but you'd be surprised. Some people do this type of stuff thinking, oh, it's going to be totally unique. But you'll notice it all fits a mold. It fits a mold, and actually I might do a contrary topic about that later. But going with examples, it's learn how to dive, how to do scuba. It's how-to tutorials, and we see people in water. So it's they want live tutorials. Okay, the next step is to be the part, be the expert. So with the type of sites that we're going to create in this program, we're going more to the authority side of the spectrum here, not the mini sites like in my Deadbeat Super Affiliate System, which this is kind of like the evolution of that. In this, the whole process is to create longer lasting, more profitable websites. So what you want to do is speak the lingo. So one of the most important things that you can do, I do this in every market that I'm in, is I create what I call a swipe file. So every time I'm going through the internet and I see something related to my topic, whether it be a question or a headline that I thought was pretty good that I might be able to model after, or a certain angle that I can hit from, or a certain thing that just pops out, I'll go and create a file and I'll just paste it in there. So I'll find titles, I'll come up with titles. If there's keywords that I see that pop out, I'll post in those. I'll find infographics that I really like and model my stuff off of that. So this is a great way to really remember the ideas that you have. Highly recommend that you start creating a swipe file for your topic, okay? Now, when I get into a new market, I'll typically become an expert. Now, you'd be surprised how quickly you can learn about a topic if you're very passionate about it. You can get a little bit further ahead than a beginner in 2, 3, or a week worth of immersing yourself in that topic. So yeah, we're going to have to do us some works, folks. We're going to have to read us some of them books to really get that edge, but it really, really helps. So when you find your market, buy a book or 2, sit down for a few days out of the week and start plugging away at that book. This can make all the difference. It's literally a difference between like generic content and you having those kind of unique perspectives that grab people's attention. This is probably not what you want to hear, right? Like you came in here, oh, we gotta be lazy, and you can be lazy. But putting time up front to get that edge is what's going to allow you to reap the rewards many years later. Like that's what we want, right? You want to be able to put the work in now and get rewards many, many years to come. So this is one of those leverage points, becoming the expert. And I know I'm like a broken record right now, but this is so important. In addition to books, hit up Quora, hit up Facebook groups, hit up Reddit, hit up Amazon reviews, forums. Just go through and start learning your topic. I cannot stress enough for the 5,000th time how important that is. Okay, so this is all about building authority. We're building authority websites, and by becoming authentic, by being the person that's authentically the expert, is the best way to go about this. So authenticity tip number 1. Pen name versus real name. What do you do? Well, in the past, I recommended doing a pen name, and you can still do that if you're afraid to put your name on the internet for whatever reason, I got news for you though, right? Like you're already on the internet. If you type your name into Google, I can almost guarantee you that your pictures are probably on there. Probably your home address is on the internet now. So it's kind of too late. You can't, whether you like it or not, your name is already probably out there on the internet. Don't believe me? Go fire up Google right now, type your name in, and you will be horrified to the stuff that you will find on your name. So in the past, I have recommended when you build your mini sites, you can totally use a pen name. It's not illegal to do that. And by the way, anything I say in this program, it's at your own risk. I'm not a lawyer. I've done a lot of research and this is what I found to be true, but of course I'm no lawyer. So keep that in mind. Where I'm going with this, the times are changing and the people that go through the extra effort of branding themselves, building a name for themselves, have so much more of a benefit. Having a personal brand is one of the most valuable things that you can ever do. Getting known on the internet is a intangible asset that is worth more than money tenfold, because if you lose your money, but you still have your brand online, you can start all over from scratch and recuperate that money over and over again. Okay. In addition, Google has gotten really smart. They have AI now built in to really associate your name and to determine if you're an expert or not. So if you do more podcasts, more YouTube videos, interviews, and you show up as like, for me, Dan Brock, affiliate marketing expert, those words together build my authority both in the eyes of people and in the eyes of Google. Bottom line, if this is something that you're proud of, if this is the topic that you want everyone to know about, then having your real name is where you want to go. If not, if you're doing some weird stuff like, pornos or, penis enlargement pills or something like that, you're probably going to want to use a pen name unless you want everyone to know that that's what you do. I know a guy that does that. He's like, yeah, I'm a porno guy. I don't care. It's awesome. Okay. Man, I've gone from G-rated to R-rated in about a second. And authenticity, tip number 2, make your website a reliable source. And this continues off the pen name issue. Google really appreciates reliable sources of content. Like think about it, Wikipedia, the health sites like MD, whatever it's called. I can't think of off the top of my head. Healthline, those sites, Men's Health. What this means is that you're going to want to source your sources. So what this means is that you're going to want to start developing your website as a reputable source of content, quoting them. For example, like let's say you found something on New York Times, how they did a study that the best time to take a nap is between 2 and 3 p.m., right? Well, you're going to quote that in your post, drop a link at the bottom of your page as a source, and this will really improve your website as a source of good quality information. Another example is, like for example, you could be writing an article on your site about how to improve your sleep, and you could say, getting the 30-minute power nap in the afternoon, according to the National Sleep Association study, shows that it can reduce heart disease by up to 40%. So put that in there, source it, drop the link at the bottom in the source section. Just make sure that those links are no follow. So there are WordPress plugins. Just go to WordPress plugins and type in no follow links. Activate one of those and that will take care of that for you. Now, authenticity tip number 3, if you're not an expert, hire an expert. So the more that you hire real experts, the more your content is going to rank, just because people are going to stick around and read it. So check out this image. This is one of my YouTube videos, and once I start getting into the tips, the real meat of the video, you'll notice that the retention of the video goes up. This is where people's attention goes up higher because I'm dropping out real tips. So this is what people are just hungry for. The brain just is hungry for new tips to get an edge in life or to improve your craft. So where I'm going at with this is that when you're starting out, if you're on a budget or if you're not quite the expert yet, you can start off with run-of-the-mill content, finding a generalist writer. But at some point, you're going to want to start developing the expertise. So you can hire experts, have them write a batch of articles for you. Then you can reuse that content over and over again. And I'll talk a lot more about that further in the program. Let's take the health market, for example. You can literally hire doctors to write content for you, and it's really not that much more expensive than you think. It's not going to cost you thousands of dollars. So some doctors may be trying to establish themselves on the internet as a credible source. Some of them may need money. Like doctors aren't the best people when it comes to managing money because they get so much money coming in. They're just kind of, willy-nilly, and sometimes willy-nilly, what the hell? And sometimes they're kind of spendthrifts. So and sometimes they'll be caught off guard, like a debt might be due, and then they're hard up for cash. So they will go on these sites. I've hired several doctors to do this for me. So you'd be surprised what you can find. And yes, we will cover in depth how to find these experts later on in the program. All right. So now we're getting to the good stuff, the meat, the potatoes, the page tweaks. Everyone's like, just give me the page tweaks, man. I want the page tweaks. So page tweaks, number one, tips for more tweaks and twerks for more traffic. Page tweak number one, your author, photo, and bio. So adding your name and your headshot to your content, to your site templates, does wonders for building your authority, making your website look like a legitimate source, because it is, or because it will be, and therefore your rankings will improve. So the Yevo.com themes have this function built in. If you use our service, link above, by the way, for a 30-day free trial, you can easily add this into all of your posts and all your content. Okay, page tweak number two is add an about us, contact us, terms of service, and privacy policy. So in the past, I was lazy, but the importance of this is it makes your site more legitimate. And when it comes to driving paid traffic, and in the eyes of Google, when you have these pieces, it makes your site more legitimate. So go through the extra effort of creating these. You can do this in about an hour, maybe a little bit more. Sit down. I know it sucks. It seems kind of inconsequential, but this is important. So these small touches really add up over time. Do yourself a favor and add these in the beginning. In fact, if you want this feature, I'm going to see if I can add this into Yevo with an instant terms of service and privacy policy generator. Don't quote me on that though, but if this is something you want, let me know. And page tweak number three, add an FAQ section. So it turns out, let's take a camera, for example. Let's say the Canon 70D, which is I'm on right now. I'm going to get a new one pretty soon. There are questions that people will have. Like, for example, will the Canon 70D, does it have audio hiss? Very specific questions to the product. How much does a Canon weigh? What are the best lenses for YouTube in regards to the Canon 70D? So at the bottom of every post that you create, whether it be a how-to article or a product review, you're going to want to create an FAQ section. You can do this manually, just typing it in at the bottom of your post, or with the Yevo themes, we actually have an element for this built right in to make it look very nice and give it that nice polished look. So if you have your Yevo account, you can use that. Another page tweak is what I call the Dear Abby content. Matter of fact, let's call that the Dear Deadbeat content. So Dear Deadbeat content is, have you ever seen like those Dear Abby, like my husband is snoring a lot, or Dear Abby, my kids don't want to do their homework, what do I do? Well, there are questions in your market that if you specifically answer, your content will rank really high. So question keywords, we'll talk more about this later. So what you'll do is you'll create pages about this and you'll kind of simulate that Dear Abby style. So you can do this manually on your WordPress theme, or if you have a Yevo account, our themes already have this built in as an element. So you can use that to do that. It'll look something like this here. Okay. And page tweak number 5, for product reviews, add featured images. So Google has this thing now, it's called Google Visual Search. One sec. So what people can do nowadays is they can take a picture of a item on their phone, and Google will actually be able to pull up, they'll be able to determine what this item is and pull up resources for that item based off of what they take pictures of. By having a picture of that item, if you're doing a product review, for example, having a smack dab picture right at the top about what that product that you're reviewing, and boom, you'll start getting ranked for those Google Visual Search. And these types of searches are very, very good buyer traffic leads, okay? There's a good chance that if someone's taking a picture of that lens, they want to buy that lens. So keep that in mind. It might be a lens of a friend. They're like, oh, it's pretty cool. Let me check out the reviews, and boom, your site will be there ready for you to get your affiliate commission. So themes that you can do this, you can just plug it in on a featured image as a theme. We've actually built this into our Yevo themes as well. You can just add it as a featured image. Oh, random deadbeat. So this is me in Pisa. My idea was I was going to be sitting in there and I was going to be kicking down the Leaning Tower of Pisa with my socks, but it didn't really work out too well. Okay, page tweak number 6 is custom meta descriptions. So here's a kind of before and after. So freelance writing jobs for beginners, everything you need to know, versus freelance writing jobs for beginners. If I had to start over, you can see I'm optimizing for more of that kind of oomph with the keyword. So you can optimize for this with the Yearsl SEO plugin. We'll talk more about this. I think it should be later before this. Covered this topic. You can make custom meta descriptions. So titles, a description in here. You can see that the one that I created is much more enticing than the one up here. So this one is the one that probably Google auto-generated, but if you want to increase your click-throughs, which is important because Google wants to get your links clicked on, it helps it rank higher in some weird way, whether it be paid advertising or Google organic. They want your thing to get clicked on. That's a good sign. It's an engagement sign. So you can see how mine is a lot more enticing. So you'll probably end up broke. Is a lot more enticing than freelance writing jobs. Now you'll see I am still working in the keyword here. Theirs is a little bit further up front, but I still have worked in the keyword. So freelance writing jobs, let's say I'm trying to rank for that, right? So that's worked in. I've moved it down a little bit, but this is an art and a science. You want to keep the science, the keyword, but the art is getting that kind of sizzle, working that sizzle. So you'll probably end up broke trying to do freelance writing jobs, okay? Unless you follow these 5 steps that I wish I knew when I started. Now I make $6,000 a month because of it. And by the way, I'm not making up this amount. I have a writer that I have working on this job. She makes about $6,000 a month. So this is going to be her article, which is totally legitimate. If it was me, I'm not a freelance writer, that would not be legitimate. But because she's writing it, her name's going to be on it, 100% legitimate. And later on in the freelance section, I'll show you how you can find these experts so you can write from this angle. And by the way, you can actually add emojis into the meta description for your website. So I just type in a writing emoji and I go over here, copy this bad boy. We can paste it in just like you would on the search. It'll actually show up. So you don't want to overdo this though, but if it's something related to the topic like fire, the hand thing, it'll give it that little bit of a tweak, but make sure you don't overdo this because it'll distract the user if overdone. So 1 power word, 1 emoji at best. Okay. So a power word, by the way, is something like shocking, reveal, those types of words. In fact, I will compile a list and put it somewhere of some top power words that you can use to really increase your click-through rating on your descriptions, your ads, etc. And by the way, if this confused you at all, I'm going to show you in the training later the live implementation of this. So I'm just teaching this to you up front so that when it comes time to implement this, you'll know why. Ah, yes. So there was a bit of success. I cannot tell you how hard it was to get that image. And it was like 110 degrees out. I was sweating like crazy, but it turned out to be so worth it. And by the way, if you've not been to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you can go to the top. I have videos up there somewhere. Incredible, incredible experience. It's underrated, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I think every single person should go and see it at least once. Have you been? If not, when your online business is up and running and you get that cash flow coming in, #1 destination I recommend that you check out. All right, and page tweak number 7, we're going strong, optimize for featured snippets. So a featured snippet is, let me pull up an example of this, is this right here. So you see this little section here, this is what's called a featured snippet. Now let's type in best cameras for YouTube. You'll see a list, you'll see the shopping, you'll see the list. This is a featured snippet. So you can create your content in a way that you're going to be more likely to land up in the featured snippet section. Like just look where this is ranking, right? Wouldn't it be nice if your site could be listed right there? Well, here's how you do it. The key to this is to create your content, format it in a way so that you have sections, a headline, and boom, the answer to that section right there in the first paragraph within about 60 to 70 words. Make sure that you match the format of how it is in Google. Like you remember earlier in this video, I talked about how you want to kind of conform to the formats of the content that you create. Well, we can see that this is a list here. So if you want to knock them off, you're going to also want to create a list style post because we now know Google wants to show this. So another example, let's take how to scuba dive. I have no clue why. I've never been scuba diving. This is a step-by-step process. So check that out. Step 1, step 2, it's a numbered list. You're going to want to make your own variation of this. And you'll also see that they have images built in as well. Let's really go deep into this. Here's how you'll do it. Here's how not to do it. Okay, so this is the wrong way. Let's say you want to get ranked for best ways to get high paid writing jobs. So you'd make a paragraph in your posts, header, title, we'll talk about that in a bit. What's the best way to get high paying writing jobs? So be like, so you want to get a full-time, high-paying writing job? Well, nothing beats the joy of being able to wake up, sip a cup of warm coffee, fire up your computer, and getting to work. No other feeling in the world beats that. Now, you can make very good money if you get into a good routine. In fact, some people can make $40 an hour without a degree or expertise. A lot of people are able to quit their jobs once they get a little bit of experience in freelance writing. So the reason why this is wrong is because it's very fluff. It's fluff oriented. There's no actionable steps. There's no value here, in other words. So the correct way to go about this is like this. What's the best way to get freelance writing jobs? Boom. So this would be like your header 3 or your header 2 tag. Well, I'll talk more about what that means in a bit. But if you imagine a newspaper, right? Like your header for the newspaper, that's a header 1 tag. The subheaders in a newspaper, that category is an H2 tag. Further down the line, H3 tag. So you're going to work these in. It's a tangent. We'll worry about this later. Okay, so the right way, so your header tag, your subheader is what's the best way to get a high-paying writing job? Here's the direct answer. So get high-paying writing jobs by making your writing more than just writing. Learn SEO strategies. Or step 1, learn SEO strategies. Step 2, keyword optimization. Learn how to do copywriting so your words convert more into sales. Learn formatting so your content is read more. Clients pay more if your content makes them more money than everyone else. So we're giving actionable info, and then you'll see I've expanded upon that information in bullet points underneath that actual paragraph. So we're not doing fluff under the subheadline. It's like, boom, here's exactly what you need to do to get it. And then, so it's a brief, action-oriented, info-packed paragraph right underneath that section, and then you break it down into bullet points, okay? So if you want to format your post the right way, here's an example of this. So you'd have your blog post, and you'd slap dab one of these babies in there, and you see how it kind of almost looks like a featured snippet. Well, this really helps to categorize that content or that piece of your article as a potential candidate for that featured snippet. So a way you can go about this is whip up a quick HTML-based table and pop it into the desired section of your content. You can do that in WordPress. So this will help your snippet stand out. Now, if you don't know how to do the HTML part of it, we actually have this feature built into our Yearsl themes, the featured snippet element. So that comes with the platform, and there's a trial link for that above. And page tweak number 8, that is that your content value is rated by the social shares and the links that it receives. And we'll talk more about this in a different module, but Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn are the big 4. Don't know why I said 2 there. I have to get my math right. Deadbeat math for you. Now, when your website is shared on social media, it's a signal to Google that it's potentially valuable. And in addition to that, best of all, it gets real traffic from real visitors. So it's a double whammy. You get links, you get those signals, and you get traffic to your website. And that is what is important. So you're going to want to embed share links in your website, not only on the sidebar or on the bottom of your post, but if you to really get your conversion rate up, conversion rate of people actually sharing your content, you're going to want to embed little action boxes for them, similar to the featured snippet. You're going to want to embed these into your content. So it livens up your content quite a bit, and it increases your chances of you getting those pieces of content shared. And you'd be surprised how much more effective this is by putting this into your content. So you can, of course, do this manually, or also the Yearsl themes actually have the social share elements built in. So you can add those in with just a click of the mouse if you're a Yearsl customer. Okay, page tweak number 9. And yes, we are still going. I need to come up with a funny thing to do. So We'll do show and tell. I got my gnome. Show and tell. Proud of this bad boy. 30 bucks. Little garden gnome. Exciting. Woo! Let's get back to the training. All right, so page tweak number 9, internal linking. So internal linking is a very important nowadays. It's a great way to get traffic going through to other pages of your site. Google really loves that when people go to your site and they start diving in and reading more content of yours. So there's an advantage of there, and those links actually hold some linking power. So we want to take more advantage of these links. I'll show you the actual steps of this in a follow-up video, but I just want to make sure you're aware that linking internally from page to page within your site holds value. So just let that sink into your head. Pause here. In fact, re-say this in your head because it's important. And page tweak number 10 is the power of comments. Okay. So comments nowadays are a very important signal to Google, especially with YouTube videos and your blog posts and Pinterest pins. When people are engaging with your content, it really helps you get ranked more. More importantly, it helps you develop a feeling of community, which really builds out your brand. Okay, so in the program, we'll cover more ways to go about doing this. Now, in addition to this, there is a special way to create your content. Now, not every piece or every network or every style of content is the same. So with videos, it might be a little different. With blog posts, it might be a little different. With sales pages, with webinars, it's all a little bit different, but the good part of this is that it usually follows roughly the same formula. So like with video, you might remove a little bit. Blog posts, you might expand a bit here, but it's about the same formula. So later on in a different module, we will be diving into how to create content specifically that just grabs attention and pulls people in. Stay tuned on that. More to come later on. Okay, and with that said, if you haven't, make sure you join the Facebook group. There's a link in the nav bar above. Join the fun. Join in on the fun. Share your tips. Post your results. If you get traffic, if you get shares, sales, whatever it is, take some screenshots, post it into the group. It helps people stay motivated, and also it helps people know that this program is a good program so that we can keep more people coming in and developing and building out the program, making it even better, and to keep the deadbeat mojo alive. Woo! So, with that said, quote of the day, the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. In a world that changes really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is to not take risks. So that's some good old Mark Zuckerberg. So I agree fully with this. The way in the fast-moving world that we live in today, because things change so quickly, if you want to live a life that is second to none, if you want to live the good life, whether that be love, health, happiness, abundance, continual expansion, growth, you got to take risks. All right. Whether that be investing your time now to build up the things that you want, or to invest a little bit of money into having people do it for you, which is something we'll talk about in the upcoming video, or taking more risks to create more advanced projects. This is how you get the good things in life. Now, if you have not been a risk taker up to this point, how's it been working out for you? Do you think that if you took more risk in life, whether it just be trying new things or investing time where you're not 100% certain that it's going to pay off, do you think if you did more of that up to this point, you'd be more successful in life? Well, I see that you're here, so I think you've made that decision. With that said, courage is what gets you the results. So courageously from this point in the program and push forward, build the dreams, build those things that you want in life, and I promise you, you will be much better off. And just a brief mention, if you haven't yet claimed your custom-built, hand-built, free, done-for-you website, they still may be available for you. It's to the right or above. So what we'll do is we'll actually build a website for you. We'll install WordPress. We'll configure it on the Yearsl platform. We'll write content. We will build logo, make it look real nice, configure it, and we will even promote it for you to start it off. It's a great starting point, and you can take it and build it up from there. So the link is there or above. You get that for free when you invest into 12 months of the Yearsl Pro Plan. And with that very obvious promotion of my free website program, I will see you in the next training module.